The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
I'm horror author T. Fox Dunham.
And I'm horror author and filmmaker Phil Thomas.
And tonight we're asking you,
what are you afraid of?
It's First Friday.
Again, First
Friday.
I
know. We were just saying how quickly it happened.
I know.
And we're back.
Yes. It's like we were just here.
I know. It was like a month ago.
Yeah.
And, we're back. I'm back. You're back, and Tom's over here.
Hey, I'm back.
Tom's hanging out.
And Tom's back.
Yes. And we're also broadcasting on Facebook.
That's right, we
for
are.
those who want to jump in. And those who are on Facebook watching us talk, if you want to hear the content on the show, you have to open a tab to the Para X Radio Network. I put up a link, and you just open up another tab and jump back into Facebook and watch us, and you can hear us usually in the background. But it's www.paraxradionetwork.com. And we're here. And this is kind of episode 51.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
episode 51.
Haunted Hudson Valley.
Quasi, episode 51.
Yeah, pretty much. And
Hudson Valley.
It's an episode. I mean, the last one was good. Okay, Phil, you gotta get closer to your mic. They can't hear you. There you go.
Oh, they can't hear me. Okay.
Yeah, they were having trouble. And Phil's very laid back. I'm very like dominant, so he's got to get closer to the mic.
Yes, I gotta get
and if he's still some trouble, I'll turn him up.
I'll lean forward.
He'll lean forward.
They can probably hear me now.
Right, I think so. Yeah. And CC will let us know. So this is episode 51. How are you, Phil?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm hanging out.
They have great 4th of July.
Right? Yeah, very nice.
Overall holiday.
Allison and I.
And
she has that 2-week break from school, so we drove up to the Hudson Valley.
That's right.
We were up there for 3 days.
Right.
We started one morning, and we drove up to about Socrates, which is just below the Catskill City, and we stayed there the first night. And that was mostly hiking, and seeing the waterfalls. We saw the Catskill waterfalls, which was a death-defying feat itself, because it's the mountains, so they have a very small parking lot.
Right.
And everybody drove down there, and they were all driving crazy. By the way, if you live in New York, learn to drive. For the love of the gods, please. It's just... but
or better yet, don't even own a car.
Yeah,
just take public transportation.
The terrible thing was, we weren't much better, because GPS was going in and out.
Yeah.
And we had no idea.
It does it up there.
So my wife was the one who was slowing down at every turn, ticking off all the drivers behind us. So
how many horns were blown?
Oh, it wasn't totally their fault. Okay. I have to admit, we were antagonizing them.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah. So, joining us on Facebook...
when people blow their horn at me, I tend to go slower.
You tend to go slower,
just to aggravate them.
Right. Joining us on Facebook is my friend Nani, Shannon Runlander, Paxton Lee, who just designed some very nice T-shirts for Para X Radio, and they're going live for sale soon. So definitely check that out. Will's here. My buddy D. Alexander Ward. Rebecca Brumble, our lady and mistress at Para X Radio.
Right.
And Lisa Menetti, who was on the show.
That's right, she was.
Yeah, women horror authors, remember?
Yeah, I know.
She wrote The Box Jumper, which was really quite good. And like I said, if you want to hear the show too, because you can't really hear the content over Facebook, you got to open up a Para X Radio tab with Facebook. I looked into it. I tried to figure out how to, get it to work over, and it just... Sam Broadcaster and Facebook just weren't working. Anyway, so we've got some ghost stories tonight from the Hudson Valley that I've sort of brought down with me, and there'll be many more.
Right.
And you recorded this one. This is one I collected from West Point.
Yeah. This one's pretty good.
And it's a popular. It's probably their most famous ghost story, and I'm calling it. I sort of renamed it Crusher, named after the ghost that was on there. But I figured we'll start with this. We start with the ghost story on episode 51, Haunted Hudson Valley, at What Are You Afraid Of? Horror and Paranormal Show at www.whatareyoufraidofpodcast.com, where you can see our awesome archive of ghost stories. And we'll start out with a ghost story tonight. This is Crusher. I recorded this, and I wrote this and researched this.
And I narrated it,
Yeah. On Para X Radio. Thanks for joining us, and this is Crusher.
Crusher. Researched and written by T. Fox Dunham. West Point, New York. Narrated by Phil Thomas. West Point is one of America's oldest military academies, built near Fort Putnam, an old river base shaped like its star that prevented the British Navy from infiltrating the Hudson River. This is the fort that the infamous Benedict Arnold tried to betray during the American Revolutionary War. Such famous war heroes as Douglas MacArthur, Dwight Eisenhower, and George S. Patton graduated from the point. Not only is West Point known for producing brilliant military minds, it has also contributed its share of ghost stories to paranormal Americana. Even George S. Patton wrote to his girlfriend when he was a cadet of a phantom mummy who had appeared at the foot of his bed. The most famous story from West Point is the story of Crusher, who haunts room 4714. So famous is this case that it has been reported on by several news sources, and famous paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren have insisted the room no longer be occupied. The Scott Barracks, named after General Winfield Scott, was built in 1938 in the north of the property. Built on the site of the 19th century barracks, it housed new cadets in training at West Point and became known as the North Barracks. The disturbances officially started about 2 weeks before Halloween in 1972, when cadet Jim O'Connor went down the hall to shower. He noticed his bathrobe hanging on a hook begin to swing without cause. He called it a fluke and tried to adjust the shower temperature when his robe began to swing violent, moving about as if someone was tugging on it. He didn't finish his shower and quickly went back to his room. The next night, his bunkmate said he witnessed the toilet paper spinning out of control and emptying on the floor. Then O'Connor was confronted by a ghost with burning white eyes sitting on the toilet. It wore a torn gray coat and clung to an old musket. The ghost dissipated into mist. For the next few nights, members of the company sleeping in the room witnessed body parts materialize in the air, with the same figure wearing the gray coat wandering about the room. Unexplainable changes in temperature occurred around the same time as the ghostly visitations. Finally, on November 1st, the lieutenant commander of Company 4G pressured the company adjutant to spend the night in the room to put to rest rumors of the ghost thing. The man awoke to a terrible pressure on his chest and chills from the cold air. He witnessed the same gray ghost at the foot of the bed, watching him through eyeless sockets. When he yelled, the others ran about the wall, dividing their bunks in time to see a ghost in a tall hat vanish into the mist. Others felt the same chest compression, thus the entity gained moniker of Crusher. No one really knows the identity of Crusher. Psychic Gene Dixon claimed it was the ghost of a Confederate spy hung at Hangman's Hollow. Others say it was a colonel who died in a fire in the 19th century, or even that it's a demonic spirit. References were found in the old library to a lieutenant, to Satan, or a demon of nightmares.
Your source for everything paranormal. Para X.
Often records in the field to gather the best in paranormal materia from witnesses. Often we cannot control the quality of sound in this environment, such as you may hear distortions or perhaps the occasional moaning. But then again, we're not about control, are we?
Embrace the chaos.
Hi, this is Tim from Comic Zen. We're located at 301A West Main Street in Lansdale, right near the intersection with Susquehanna Avenue.
Your
We have
source
new
for
comics,
everything
old
paranormal.
comics, graphic novels, including comics made just for kids. Action figures, statues, comic supplies, board games, card games, and much more. We have a special order service for both comics and games, and we have a comic subscription service so you don't miss your monthly issues. So come to Comic Zen. Just don't upset the samurai ghost who haunts the store.
And guess what, kiddies? Foxy and Philly will be recording live from Comic Zen in Lansdale every first Friday of the month. So come down and see us at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, not then, because we will be recording live for the Philly Foxy Haunted Spooky Hour on Para-X Radio. And bring your ghost stories a little before or a little after, and we'll be glad to collect them at Comic Zen. Fridays, first Fridays, at Comic Zen. Comic Zen. In Lansdale,
Your source
PA.
for everything paranormal. Para-X.
We're back. We're back live.
Whether you like it or not.
Remember, lean close to the mic there. Alright, so how's everyone doing out there? We got some people joining us on Facebook, hanging out. They're sharing our video. Thanks, guys. Darcy Ort is watching the video. We have an appointment with her next Tuesday
Yeah.
over Skype. We worked that out. But she wrote Haunted Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great source of folklore, and she's going to come on the show and talk about ghost stories of Philadelphia, and she's given us permission to turn a few of them into recorded episode,
That's gonna be
stories.
great.
It's going to be really fantastic. I mean, it's a great book, and it's probably the definitive work on ghost stories
Yeah.
in Philadelphia.
And we're going to do a two-parter, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Is there a website for that?
Yeah, I'll get you a link. Yeah, and there's a Facebook site. We'll put it up on the Oh, she did Haunted Maryland. Oh, we got to get that.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's another show.
nice.
Fantastic, Darcy. Thank you. And she was also just at the St. Mike's Fair, which I got you to go down to.
I was there too.
Yeah.
Which night was she there? Because I was there.
I'm not sure. I know it was a little
Few nights
later,
ago.
but
Yeah.
she went down, and I was surprised she lived so close. And going to St. Mike's Fair has always been a big thing for me.
First
since
time I
was
ever
young.
went.
And I got you to go, and you
Yeah,
loved
you
it.
did. I did like it. Yeah, and then I stopped at the
JoJo's, right.
Yeah, after never been there either.
Yeah, it's just one of the best.
They were
ice cream
literally
places.
shining the lights out on us.
And you came down
when we pulled in.
Right.
And we were like, "Oh, you're still open?" And everything's closed, but if you want soft serve, you can't have it. But anything else is fine. So,
Right. But you got to get a milkshake.
So I ended up getting I got the banana ice cream.
Banana ice cream, very good.
Which I've never had banana ice cream in my life, but that was amazing.
Very, very good.
What did you have when you went?
Oh, I always get a coffee milkshake.
A coffee milkshake.
Yeah.
You should switch it up next time you go.
Get a banana.
Try it. I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed.
Well, excellent.
Yeah.
So we were just up in the Hudson Valley. Like I said, we were up in Socrates, which is right by the Catskills. We spent the first day there. My wife and I like to travel. Like we're not people who can rent a beach house and sit there for 5 days. We go insane.
Yeah.
So when she has the time, because she's in school, obviously.
Maybe when you're 60, you'll do that.
Yeah, I doubt it.
No, not even when. Okay.
Yeah, I doubt it. So we went up to Socrates and stayed the night there, and we hiked and went to Catskill Falls. And the next day, we went down to Cold Spring, which is beautiful. I mean, it was like going to New Hope, but it's bigger, right on the Hudson River there instead of the Delaware River. And that night, we went to go see. Let me make sure I'm getting all the names right and all that. We went to go see the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Company perform Twelfth Night, which was just incredible. I mean, first we had this lovely picnic on the grounds, and we hung out for a bit there and drank a cup of wine, or a glass of wine, looking out on this beautiful vista of the Hudson Valley. I mean, it was just gorgeous. And it's the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival, the HVSF. It's their 31st season, so they've been doing this for 31 years. And it's over at the Boscobel House and Gardens up in Garrison, New York, where they closed the liquor stores early, we found out.
Right.
And you can go over and check out their website at hvshakespeare.org. And I got the tickets. We saw 12th Night. And it was they were good actors, very good actors, who had been on television shows in New York, like Law and Order.
Oh, really?
And a lot of them were on HBO shows. And Mary Bacon, who played Maria, was just in the new pilot for The Mist.
Okay.
So she played Mary, and I especially loved the character of Sir Toby Belch, played by Kurt Rhodes. And Sir Toby, of course, is the Falstaff character. He's the freeloading goofball who, he's a drunkard. He's an ex-soldier. And it was just incredible. And, of course, he's running around with Sir Andrew, who's a sort of little tag-along.
Okay.
And they played the Falstaff-type characters that are very common in Shakespeare plays. And it was just such a beautiful performance. We're sitting under this white tent, and it's got a sand theater, floor. And they were all wearing just kind of common outfits, like suit jackets and dresses. And, of course, they all like boots on to run around in the sand. It was just really, really amazing. And I want to give a shout out. They do such a great job up there. Go get tickets before they're done this year. They're also doing a couple of other things, like Pride and Prejudice they're doing a performance of. And my wife and I just had a beautiful night there.
Nice.
Now, have you seen any Shakespeare plays? You ever go up to?
No, I've never seen a Shakespeare play.
Okay, we gotta go.
Yeah, I definitely want to go.
I'm taking.
You know what? Speaking of, what you were just saying, I'm going to do a short film about liquor stores being closed. It's a horror story.
It is a horror story.
I'm going to do a short horror film about getting a liquor store and thinking it's open and it's just not.
We got there
and then trying to find other ones
and realized that you could bring wine with you, and it's something they don't really talk about on the website because they want you to buy their wine. So my wife's like, we should have brought sparkling wine. And I'm like, well, hon, this is New York. There's a liquor store around every corner.
Right.
But they close at like 5 on Sunday night, so we had to eventually buy wine. And they don't start serving alcohol till 10 a.m. On Sunday morning, so we had a brunch that morning in Cold Spring at a wonderful place. But the Hudson Valley is notorious for its ghost stories.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we'll have many on the show. In fact, we just did the one from West Point.
Steeped in history. It's very old, right? I mean, it's one
Right.
of the oldest places in the country.
I visited West Point.
Okay.
We stopped off. I wanted to go see Fort Putnam, which is the one that we talked about with the star. It's one that guarded Hudson Valley
Right.
River and the Hudson River, but it was only open on Fridays and Saturdays.
Guess you didn't make it?
No, we couldn't get there. We were going up on a Monday, and we were kind of stopping at places on the way down. And West Point is a functioning military base and training service. So we went to the military museum instead, and let me tell you, that place is haunted. Haunted by the soul. Felt.
Oh, you felt, okay.
You see shadows in the corner of the castles, that kind of thing. And of course, we did Crusher, which is the story you recorded, which is based on, it's their most infamous ghost story. In fact, Ed and Lorraine Warren investigated it and said, don't put anyone else in that room.
Okay.
And they don't know who's haunting it. They think, and there's always theories.
Right.
Somebody who died in a fire, or a Confederate spy who was hung. There were a lot of spies hung in the fields there. So it has a lot of ghost stories there. And these are professional soldiers who depend on their integrity. They're not making this stuff up.
Right.
So I'm sure we'll have more ghost stories there out of West Point.
Yeah.
As I collect them and rewrite them, we'll talk to people. So it was a good event. We've got another ghost story coming up from the Catskills, which I recorded, which is actually a very old legend that should get more notice.
Right.
And it doesn't.
I was in Wildwood a few days ago.
Yeah, right. You were over.
And you were in Ocean City.
We were in Ocean City.
Yeah, we were in Wildwood. And I actually wanted to do a ghost tour, like a ghost walk tour that night, but I couldn't find any.
No, they don't really.
Yeah.
In the summer, no. 4th of July weekend, no. They kind of start going and
I know Cape May has them.
Yeah, Cape May is pretty good for ghost tours. But in the summer, they run once a week.
Mm-hmm. Right.
One of the places we stopped at was Terrytown.
Okay, you're right. Yeah.
We wanted to see Terrytown. And it seemed like a nice place to get dinner, to stop on the way home. We were already exhausted. We were traveling the traffic. We were right outside. It's right outside of New York City.
Cool place, but then, I even said to you, definitely a place that you need to go during October.
As we discovered.
Right. Yeah.
As we discovered, because we went to Terrytown, and then we went down to Sleepy Hollow. We walked there.
Oh.
And it was nothing, another childhood fantasy destroyed. There were no headless horsemen.
No, there wasn't.
We didn't even get to the cemetery. It just,
There's a plaque.
There's a plaque
that commemorates where the bridge was that inspired Washington Irving to write it. But the bridge is gone, though.
Well, that's what I was talking to people was they actually don't know specifically where the bridge was. It could have been one of 6.
Okay.
So it's a little bit show business.
Right.
Have you been to Terrytown, Tom?
No, I haven't.
Don't. I wouldn't. Unless you go up in October, and he's right.
Yeah,
October is beautiful.
I think it's mostly like Salem in October.
Right.
They have the stuff during Halloween in Salem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's pretty much...
Right.
The only attraction that I know of as far as like Tarrytown is for those people who actually watched the original Dark Shadows series in the 60s. That's where the house is located in Tarrytown, New York.
Oh, wow.
So there actually is a big mansion that's there that they use for outside shots, but inside it was mostly Hollywood. But the outside shots, the building is actually there, and so it's
Barnabas Collins.
Yes,
the great Barnabas Collins, and that wonderful. There was, my mother loved Dark Shadows, and I was trying to explain it to people today, and I'm like, Dark Shadows for my mom was the Buffy the Vampire Slayer of now.
Right.
That was the same kind of feeling they got from it when they were younger. And I liked Buffy. I mean, I liked Angel better.
Right.
As a sort of a gothic horror show. But yeah, so I did not know that was in Tarrytown. And it has some very nice areas. But like I said, I wouldn't go up until...
Yeah, definitely October.
Like, you go to Gettysburg. Gettysburg is always haunted Gettysburg.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's a ghost tour on every...
every corner, man.
Every corner, yeah.
And in between.
But Tarrytown gets scary in October. Otherwise, it's just more of a, urban sprawl.
Right.
Which is what it ended up being. So.
I might take a trip up this October.
Yeah, well, get your tickets now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm told, is get your tickets now because it fills up.
Yep.
Well, guess whose birthday? It's his birthday today for us, but he lives in Great Britain, so it was his birthday yesterday. David Walton.
Right. Yeah.
David Walton turned 23 today.
Nice.
No, he actually turned a lot older. That was happy birthday, David Walton. But he's our British folk singer. He's done a remarkable amount of stuff for us, which is, he came along in the beginning and helped make this show really special. You know what I mean? I mean, David's done so much folk music for us, and he's been so good to us. So we're going to play a new song of his tonight. He's been doing some more folklore for us. I mean, it's not exactly horror, but it's creepy, it's a little sadistic, and it's called The Cruel Ship Carpenter, that he recorded and organized, and it's just really fantastic. And thanks, everyone. Stay with us. We're on till 7. We are at Comic Zen at First Friday Cruise Night in Lansdale, PA, which I'd call Philly. Yeah, we're in Philly. We're Philly hard.
Yeah, it's suburbs of Philly.
Right, basically. And we will be right back, and we're going to play that song from David Walton, wishing him a happy birthday or belated birthday or whatever you want to, call it.
Finally, winter's icy and dead hand releases from our heart. It's summer. A time for cookouts, swimming, fishing, kayaking, campfire ghost stories, and zombies. Oh, see how they frolic in the parks and fields, eating squirrels and deer, shambling about in fun, riding away in the summer heat. That decomposing smell of roadkill in the oven is the fun smell of undead zombie fun. Fun composing. Now see how they join your barbecue, eating picnickers. What fun! Lemonade and spleens. No, stop. Instead of bombing them, that's all summer dance. Fun composing. Okay, I guess that didn't work. Back to the bombing. Fun composing. Fun composing.
Fun composing.
dwelling on fair Plymouth town. There lived a lovely damsel, her name was Miss Brown. She courted handsome Willie, her darling for to be. His trade long and steady, a ship's carpenter was he. It was early one morning, before the break of day. Her voice came to the window, and this to her did say, saying, rise up, lovely Mary, and come away with me. Before we get married, some pleasures to see. And he led her through the fields and the valleys so deep, till at length lovely Mary began for to weep, saying, Willie, handsome Willie, you've led me astray, through the fields and the valleys my life to betray. It's true what you say to me, 'tis truth you do say. For late last night I was digging your grave that is open and spade standing by, and down in the grave your fair body must lie. And he stabbed her till the red blood did flow, and into the grave her fair body he did throw. And he's buried her so neatly, and he's covered her so sound, not thinking this murder would ever be found. It was early one morning before the break of day. Over comes the captain to the crew, he did say, there's murder on shipboard has lately been done. A good ship lies in mourning and cannot sail on. Then up and spoke one sailor, indeed 'tis not I. Up and spoke another, the same I do deny. Then up spoke young Willie, to damn, curse and swear, indeed sir, not I sir, I'll vow and declare. But as he was a-going and turning around, he spied lovely Mary, she was dressed all in brown. And she snatched at him, cut him, and tore him in three, saying, that's for the murder of our baby and me.
Your source for everything paranormal. Para-X.
Hi, I'm David Walton, and I drop whatever I'm doing to read whatever Fox and Phil demand of me. My digital, as opposed to ectoplasmic alter ego, is called Brendan Shawland, who regularly plays guitar and sings in a virtual world. Brendan has a website, David doesn't. Bandcamp sales figures would suggest that Brendan's music is decidedly niche. If you want to be in the vanguard of support as Brendan heads towards global domination, just put Brendan Shawland in your favourite search engine, and you'll find his website very close to the top. You'll see what the human looks like, and you can check out the Listen to a Song page to access Brendan's unwillingly private world of creative output.
I found it at last! Marla's Sacred Cauldron. This is the legendary artifact that has been whispered about in hushed tones for hundreds of years, and now it's mine! All mine!
Who dares defile the sanctity of my castle walls? Step away from the cauldron, you impertinent, muddy-mettled maltworm.
Never! I've spent half my lifetime trying to discover your age-old secret of stirring the cauldron!
Oh, for Merlin's sake, that's no deep, dark secret. Just tune into the Para-X Radio Network Thursday nights at 9 o'clock Eastern for more cauldron stirring than you can shake a wand at.
Oh. Well, in that case, I guess I don't need to take up any more of your time, so I guess I'll be going.
Not just yet. We've got a little unfinished business to take care of.
That's Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern on the Para-X Radio Network.
Brendan, incredible performer. Brendan Shoreland, that's his Second Life persona where I met him. But it's David Walton. And we'll post links up to his... I got a link up to his music up on the What Are You Afraid Of Facebook window, you know, the Facebook group. So you can check it out there, wishing him a happy birthday. And you bumped into an interesting musician, you said, in Wildwood.
Yeah, when I was down Wildwood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his name's T.J. Young.
Okay.
And I was talking to him for a little bit, and he was playing at Captain Jack's.
Okay.
On this patio, and he sparked interest in coming on the show, and you know, maybe doing some songs for us, or maybe an interview or something like that. But I know he's down Wildwood all through the summer, and I told him, like, you know, plug him because, you know, I think he's going to be listening tonight too.
I hope so. Yeah.
Mondays, every Monday, every Thursday, and every Friday.
Okay.
Down in Wildwood.
Down in Wildwood.
Practically on the beach at Captain Jack's.
Fantastic, down in Wildwood.
On the patio. So this is some guy we might have on the show.
Yeah, well, we love original music.
It was really good. He did everything. He did everything from Bruno Mars to Frank Sinatra.
And he's got his own stuff too.
He's got his own stuff. Yeah,
which is what we really want.
He's got his own unique. He's got original songs, but he ended the night with, and he played for like 3 hours. But he ended the night with "New York, New York" by Frank Sinatra.
Oh,
which for a 23-year-old dude, I thought was kind of impressive.
Kind of like a Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah, and he sounded great. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's talented. So I mean, we should definitely have him on. You know, and you guys want to check him out down Wildwood, go for it.
Oh, so yeah, definitely. So I've been reading more books on hauntings. You know, trying to get more guests on the show. And there's a big difference between what Darcy Ort does when she collects the folklore, because she's out there acting as an historian, a folklorist. She's out there talking to people. She's researching archives. She's walking the beat.
Right.
She's a paranormal journalist like we are. So she's collecting these stories, and many of them haven't happened to her. So she's a folklorist. But then you've got these people that have paranormal experiences happen to them who write these books. And we've had many on the show, like Debbie Chestnut and Galen Chauncey, who's a good. But we have, I'm going to play it in a few minutes, we have her Waverly Hills EVPs and her she just did an investigation at Waverly Hills, and she went down and recorded us some stuff from that night. EVP she captured and events that happened. It's a short little thing, but we're going to play it in a little bit from Galen Chauncey, who is our resident monster hunter. So that should be pretty good.
Right.
But what I was talking to Douglas Stanford, he's a magician we've been working with and talking to and kind of formulating some ideas with. And we were talking about doing some ghost investigations ourselves. Now, he's a professional magician, and I want him on the team because he can spot perfidy. Like, he can spot when it's somebody who's trying to create a fake story to sell a book, to get a movie made out of it, you know, to become famous based on a hoax. And the problem is these people set these things up, lie, and then they bring in eager ghost groups who give them credibility.
Yeah, right.
And it's an industry now. It's funny, some of the people I talk to who write these books about these experiences, you start questioning them intensely, questions they're not prepared for, and they either cut you off or their answers start.
But sometimes these places, it's good for business. You know?
Yeah, that's it's a business.
And they want to, you know, they want to qualify as a real haunting, and
Right.
then it bring people in. They get money from it. I mean,
Right, yeah.
It's and it's fraud.
Well, they're saying the Amityville Horror was probably
it's
a hoax,
fraud
yeah.
if it's not legit.
I wonder if sometimes something paranormal didn't happen to these people, but they've exaggerated, they've
Amityville?
cooked it, they've turned it, turned it, they've plotted it, they've had an editor help them, because there's always a difference. Paranormal stuff that happens in real life is not a crescendo, it's not a build-up. It's just a bunch of stuff that happens over time, sometimes small, sometimes major. But whenever you read these books or see these movies that are based on true stories, it always starts off small and then ends up with the walls bleeding and the Lutz family's running.
Right.
And you can always tell there's a difference, because real paranormal events don't work like this.
No.
And there's something about, I was reading an article about people who do these television shows half the time, and they're not just ghost hunting, they have a responsibility to provide content. So they're going to find content, they're going to find something. And some of these people are horrible if you watch them. We're not talking about Katrina Weidman, she does great. She just goes out there and tells a story, but there are some people that create something when they haven't found anything for these events.
Right.
But at least we know that our wonderful Galen Chauncey is not one of them. And she sent us some recordings from Waverly Hills, which I will be glad to play for you now on episode 51. And this is, well, first we'll do a promo, and then we will have Galen Chauncey from Waverly Hills Sanatorium, one of the most haunted places in the country.
Mercy, a new horror medical thriller from author T. Fox Dunham, published by Bloodbound Books. Based on the author's horrific battle with a rare form of lymphoma that involved intense chemotherapy and radiation, Fox turns the horror of his experience into terror on the page.
William Saint is dying of cancer. On most days, death seems like a humane alternative to the treatment. Stricken with fever, William is rushed to Mercy, notorious as a place to send the sickest of the poor and uninsured to be forgotten, and finds the hospital in even worse condition than his previous visit.
Willie's memories faded. He grabbed his the sack head of the scarecrow, picking at the exposed chicken wire to hold them in. However, the memories fell out of the holes in his face. They wormed and crawled from the leather flesh and the old clothing of the scarecrow, then squirmed and wiggled down his body.
The grounds are unkempt, the foundation is cracking, and like the wild mushrooms sprouting from the fissures of decay around it, something is growing inside the hospital. Something dark.
Fangoria gives Mercy 3.5 out of 4 skulls. Dunham has channeled his many brushes with the other side into the exquisitely rendered, lyrical, supernatural hospital thriller Mercy.
It's feeding on the sickness and sustaining itself on the staff, changing them, and now it wants Willie.
Come now, Mr. Saint. Just a little more of that sweet milk. So salty and so good. You won't miss it. And we ever do so like our delicacies here at Mercy Hospital.
Part medical horror, part supernatural suspense, Mercy is a hard-hitting fever dream of a novel. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Tim Wagner, author of The Way of All Flesh and Eat the Night. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and bookstores everywhere in both print and digital versions.
Life is an addiction.
Let go. Let it all burn.
Hi, Galen Chauncey here, sharing another episode of the Talking Dead for What Are You Afraid Of radio show. Once again, I find myself at the Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Kentucky. We only had 3.5 hours, so I had to move quickly in order to hit every floor. We started on the 4th floor, but when we reached the 2nd floor, voice recorder batteries were drained, leaving only one still operating, and the video camera kept shutting down every 11 seconds, even though it had a charged battery. That makes most of the EVPs you're about to listen to are from the 3rd and 4th floor. Spirits don't have conversations with me. Most of the time, they ignore any questions I ask. But when they talk, most just want me to know they are there. Some ask for help, some are messages, but have no idea what it is, and some are lost. I can't explain why I'm able to record spirits talking, but I do know for sure that a spirit will only make their voice known if they want to. It explains why some paranormal investigators try to make a spirit angry enough to talk. In my world, let's not piss off the ghosts. What you're about to hear is raw data. Nothing is enhanced. Please visit our site, www.afterlifegoeson.com, and check out the Talking Dead section to listen to other episodes from previous visits and other haunted locations. And if you like paranormal stories, go to our YouTube channel, YouTube/AfterlifeGoesOn. Boo you later. A storm was brewing outside as we investigated.
Wow. What was that?
The thunder.
Yeah.
And we had bats. We started our investigation on the 4th floor. We are 2.5 minutes in when the very first EVP I get says my name, Chauncey.
So you got a private room like right here.
A spirit telling me, come on. This is not unusual. For every time I visit the place, I always get these EVPs. We have a spirit who says her name is Jane.
Jane.
These are 2 EVPs recorded at the same time. They both are saying, the baby. This EVP is unique because I received the same one 5 years ago. A woman asked, does anybody work there? And again, another EVP that says, the baby. All of them are recorded at different times and on different floors. A spirit that calls herself Annie.
Annie. There's the creepy room.
Here are 2 clear EVPs, but one of them says yow, which we have no idea what it means, while the other says hello.
Yeah. Hello.
A strong no. You can hear a faint, I'm sorry. It is rare for a spirit to answer any of my questions. This one answers yes.
Do you know my name?
This one is a little weird. Listen to the words, you kill me. Like I said, sometimes ghosts say words we just don't understand. This one says, cheater. One of my team is talking about the place. Then you hear the word, lies. This one is interesting. You can hear someone saying, shut up, followed by, okay. I did ask for it, requesting a spirit to jump out and say, boo. It's very faint, but you can hear a spirit telling us, danger. A spirit calling out the name, Duke. Listen to the anguished, why us? Walking in a death tunnel, a spirit says, staring.
It's a long time. Staring.
Besides my team of 4, there were only 5 other tourists. between 5 floors and a death tunnel, I actually had to search for somebody to talk to. I wanted to know what drew them to this place. I'm here talking with Amy, and she shares her story with me.
You guys seen anything?
Not yet. Have you guys seen anything?
No.
But this is just the beginning.
Oh, I came here last night. We came here and I started crying. I felt all this energy of sadness. And now I actually feel kind of peaceful here. Like when I was a kid, I had so many experiences. Well, I mean, tons of stuff. I played with the Ouija board a lot, so that was not a good idea. But, you know, because like, you talk to people about this stuff and they're like, crazy. They think you're nuts. But
you're finding other people are going to places just like you are. You really are.
It's like, wow. It's like, it's so nice. I feel like, I kind of feel like it's been lifted off of me, sort of, actually. I'm hugging all of you, sorry.
Your source for everything paranormal. Para X.
Are you haunted by shadow people in the middle of the night?
Do you secretly love all things creepy and spooky, enjoying ghost stories and horror fiction from the best storytellers?
Do you have a true ghost experience you want to share, but no one will believe you?
If yes, listen to the professionals on What Are You Afraid Of? Horror Paranormal Show Friday nights at 9 p.m. on Para X Radio and at www.whatareyouafraidofpodcast.com.
What are you afraid of on Para X?
Our creepy and demented hosts are on call to provide you with all your spooky needs with true ghost stories, interviews, indie music, and new horror fiction. We are ready to scare you.
Para X.
And we're back. So that was Galen Chauncey, our resident monster hunter, the Boogeyman Hunter. She wrote the Boogeyman Chronicles, and you can find those on Amazon. Thank you, Galen, for recording that from Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
Yes,
one of the most notorious places. Now, for those of our listeners on the Para X Radio Network, we were just talking about how there needs to be a haunting in Lansdale.
we were gonna. I mentioned how we should do a haunted Lansdale episode, but except Lansdale's not haunted.
There's nothing haunted.
There's
in
nothing
Lansdale.
haunted. So we're gonna put. So I said I'll put a sheet over Fox and just shoot him like ooh.
And I said I am the ghost of decency and good manners.
It's real. We swear.
We swear. It's really real. Now let's go write a book and get a television show.
Why does that ghost have sandals?
Right. Because spooky fox's feet hurt. Ooh. Oh, God. I'm sure I've heard of some haunted tales in Lansdale, but the nature of urban legend is that it could have been a house in Philly, it could have been a house in Ambler, and I've heard about it in Lansdale.
Right.
And some of these buildings, they've had murders in them. I mean, it is Lansdale, and there have been a lot of heroin addicts who have died, and I've heard ghosts appear on the train tracks. And
you're not making Lansdale very attractive to the listeners. It is Lansdale. Lots of murders, man.
Yeah, welcome to anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
It's kind of like Terrytown. One of the Sleepy Hollow. It reminded me a lot of Lansdale. I love Lansdale.
Really? Reminded you of Lansdale?
A little bit.
Yeah, okay.
And we're coming from Comic Zen in Lansdale. Tim Hershey's bringing us back on First Fridays to do our live shows. So we're a little bit glitchy because I'm doing this on the fly here. Yeah, so I got my book. Mercy's here. If anybody wants to send me some money, I will send you a signed copy. I think the book is like $11. And if you send me shipping and handling over PayPal, I will sign you an encrypted copy.
That's right.
My horror hospital novel about my experience with cancer.
Including a little witty one-liner.
Was there a little?
No, I'm saying if they send it, you'll include a little witty one-liner, right?
I will, exactly. Yes. I'll be like, I am the ghost of Lansdale. Ooh. But it's been a fun show so far.
It has.
And we're going to start winding down. I'm going to play another ghost story.
One more thing I want to mention.
Oh, yeah, of course.
With the upcoming election, you got to vote for Franklin.
No, we're not allowed to do political stuff. No.
We must vote for Franklin Roosevelt.
Yes. Oh, my pin.
Yes.
Oh, yes. I was going to say we can't do. Okay, this is fine. I got this in Hyde Park.
Yeah. I think that's one political thing we can do because, that election's long over.
I gave one to Bill.
Yeah, right.
By the way, Bill, loving you.
Yes.
Have fun at work when you're hearing the show because he listens in the morning.
Bill.
Bill's great. Bill's the man. So, this was a ghost story that's very popular right outside of Catskill, New York. So a little further up in the Hudson Valley. And we saw the area. It's beautiful. It's natural. A lot of hiking trails. Just south of Albany. And this is such a great and old story. I'm amazed that it's not more popular. And of course, the Headless Horseman, and you get, the stories. I guess Washington Irving didn't write it, so it didn't become popular. But it's so juicy and good and about redemption. And it's set in a colonial America leading to the Revolutionary War. And I did a lot of research on it to write what I think is the definitive version. And I think we're gonna play that and then wind down the show.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to talk about before we go?
No.
Tom, how about you? Yeah, sorry, Tom didn't really get too much to talk with us.
I was in the group listening to what you guys got to say. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. It's okay. We didn't really give you too much of an opportunity. Well, so, this is, by the way, everyone, we're live, so there are people coming in and out of Comics Zen. This is The Strange Punishment that I collected from Catskill, New York, on What Are You Afraid Of? Horror and Paranormal Show. And I think we're going to end it there.
Okay.
This is T. Fox Dunham.
This is Phil Thomas.
And this is Tom Capper.
And thank you for joining us on episode 51, Haunted Hudson Valley. And they'll be replaying this again at 9 p.m. on Para X. And we will have it available for download tonight, tomorrow from our many podcast services. We're on everywhere. iHeartRadio, we're iTunes, we're Google Play, we're everywhere. And we'll be on YouTube, and you can find us on our website at www.whatareyouafraidofpodcast.com, where you can also find our Ghost Story archive with all of our recorded ghost stories with the audio versions, which make them special.
That's right.
So
you don't just have to read them, you can actually listen to them.
You can actually listen to them. They're great. So, well, thank you for joining us on What Are You Afraid Of?
The Strange Punishment. Researched, written, and read by T. Fox Dunham. Catskills, New York, 18th century America. Near the city of Catskill, New York, a town built along the beautiful Hudson River, a young servant girl, strange phantom animals, and a condemned man wearing a noose around his neck haunt the farm fields just outside of the town. And this is the legend. In the small town of Leeds, in the early 1700s, a cruel and lonely man by the name of Ralph Sutherland lived in a tiny stone house. All the locals knew of this man's cruelty and drunken rages, so he had no family, nor could he hire any servants to clean his home and cook his meals. The Sutherland family had all but disowned the drunken and cruel man, leaving him but a small sum of money, the house, and the land. Finally, he sent away to far Scotland for a young lass to make passage across the ocean to come and work in his house. So she did, not knowing his reputation, and it wasn't long before Master Ralph punished the girl for minor infractions with beatings and imprisonment. The young Scottish woman had nowhere to go, but finally she could take no more. One day, while Sutherland tended to his business, she took off on foot, running off into the countryside, escaping her bondage. Her master soon discovered her absence and pursued her on horseback, quickly catching her by nightfall. To punish her, Sutherland bound her hands, then tied her to the horse's tail. He planned to pull her along at a slow pace, leading her back to his home to punish her for her flight. Alas, a snake spooked the horse, causing it to gallop fast, dragging the poor servant girl through the brambles and rocks of his land. By the time he gained control of his mount, the poor girl had become so tangled and twisted that he could no longer recognize her. The cruel Sutherland had not meant to kill her, but through negligence or drunkenness, he caused her death. He was brought before the judge, and all his neighbors witnessed his usual cruelty. However, there were no direct witnesses to the murder. Through the appellants, a wealthier and distant relatives who could not suffer the humiliation of having a family member hung, Sutherland's sentence was lessened, though he was not off the hook or the gallows. He was bound to be punished by strange means on earth and in hell. The judge ordered that he be hung when he turned 99, and that until such time he was to wear a noose to always remind him of his crime and eventual punishment. He accepted the sentence, and once he was safely back in his stone house, he quickly removed the noose and drank much rum. When he awoke the next morning, he found the noose once again hanging from his scrawny neck. He quickly removed it, tossed it out the window, and once again drank away the night. The next morning, he again found the rope tied to his throat. He cut it into pieces, burned it, buried the rope, but each morning found it again below his chin. Finally, he cried out into the night, and the spirit of the Scottish servant girl came to him in a mist. "Since mortal man couldn't punish you for your crimes and debauchery in life, heaven has sought to the task." He raged and drank, but the noose tightened each morning. The last returned often, sometimes as a skeleton wearing a sheet, or as a fiery maiden astride a phantom steed, charging him down in his fields. Charles Skinner, in 1896, wrote this in Legends of Our Own Land. His dark house was avoided, for gossips spoke of a shrieking lady who passed his house nightly, tied at the tail of a giant horse with fiery eyes and smoking nostrils. That a skeleton in a winding sheet had been found there, that a curious thing like a woman had been known to sit on his garden wall with light shining from her fingertips, uttering her unearthly laughter, and that domestic animals reproached the man by growling and howling beneath his windows. It is said that Sutherland attempted suicide many times by many means, such as poison or fire, but he always survived. He hoped that disease or old age would take him, but as the years passed, frustratingly, he remained young and hale. Eventually he joined the new army of the colonies to fight the British for independence, but neither musket shot nor bayonet could harm him. Legend has it he even went to fight the supernatural enemies of the new country, figuring he had little to lose, and still he could find no end to his continued nocturnal torment. The ghosts followed him wherever he went. Often soldiers would ask about the noose around his neck, and Sutherland merely said, "Punishment." This torment drove Sutherland into madness until finally his relatives had to support him. The man lived much longer than anyone expected, and by the age of 99, no evidence could be upheld in court. Thus, he was never hung. He died a few days after his birthday, and the noose was fastened around the neck of his corpse when he was found. Some accounts say he died in his sleep. Other stories say his relatives found him hanging from the rafters by the rope that had never released him. There are other versions of this story that end differently, as is often the case with folklore. One version claims that over the decades, the ghost of the Scottish lass talked to Sutherland each night in the hopes of reforming him. As the hanged man sought redemption, he changed his nature and became a good man free of drink and sin. The ghost and Sutherland fell in love, and as continual torment they could not be together. Then, before his death, Sutherland forced his way in to see President John Adams, demanding a reprieve and a pardon from the second President of America. Adams would not grant it, knowing nothing of the case. Through the centuries, witnesses have claimed to see the ghost of a madman haunting those fields, distinguished by a noose hung from his neck that trails into mist. A young Scottish maiden howls in the distance.
Your source for everything paranormal, Para-X.
T. Fox Dunham lives in Philadelphia with his wife Allison. He's a lymphoma survivor, cancer patient, modern bard and historian. His first book, The Street Martyr, was published by Gutter Book. A major motion picture based on the book is being produced by Throughline Films. Destroying the Tangible Illusion of Reality or Searching for Andy Kaufman, a book about what it's like to be dying of cancer, was recently released from Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing, and Fox has a story in the Stargate anthology, Points of Origin, from MGM and Fandemonium Books. Mercy was recently released by Bloodbound Books. Fox is an active member of the Harvard Association. He's been published in hundreds of short stories and articles, and his motto is wrecking civilization one story at a time.
Phil Thomas resides in the suburbs of Philadelphia and is an author and filmmaker. His screenplays have been produced into feature films such as False Face and Always from Darkness that are available in major retailers such as Best Buy and Target, as well as availability on Netflix and Amazon On Demand.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.